Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the Aladin show. Today I have an amazing guest. She actually was on my show a few weeks ago, and I've got her back, and today we're going to talk about business well-being. Especially when 2022 is coming around the corner, and we're good to get how to improve our well-being in our business life. But before I get her on, she's actually waiting. Her name is Ghazala Jabeen, known to her friends as Gaz. Gaz is a mom of three living on the coast of North of Wales, lovely North of Wales, you know. Ghazala goes with two main titles amongst her many titles. There is a book, which is out, there's another actually book coming out. The main two titles of our award-winning businesses are No1 Marketing Machine and Bollywood Burnout. Ghazala is a No1 Self Published best-selling author of our book called Loved, Lived and Lost. Ghazala is awarded and featured in the book of 100 most successful women in business around the world. You really need to get to know her. It's amazing, amazing lady. And featured and awarded as ambassador for networking marketing, but appears in the Hall of Fame with BFH. Ghazala is actually featured in a BBC TV documentary called Asian Welsh, and was the story of Asians doing really good. As Ghazala's story was a female entrepreneur in Wales, Ghazala's story from suppression to expression. It's very, very few. You don't really hear many Asian ladies in Wales being very successful. So if you got a chance, you need to watch the BBC TV, and I'm sure you could get an iPlayer as well. And for her, she's actually her next big project is her $1 million professional. So she actually runs a lot of networking events in afternoons. So if you want to know more about what she's doing, keep watching to the end. She will be sharing more information on that. So welcome, Ghazala. Welcome to the Aladin show.
Thank you so much, Aladin, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm delighted once again to be sitting here with you to share great more insights together.
Wow. So I'm so glad that you're back. And I know in the first part you were talking about a bit about background and your book that you've launched, Loved, Lived and Lost, and people could actually watch that. It's actually on my other shows, also on YouTube channel as well. And I mean, you're a remarkable lady. You've been through so much in your life, and you've come out so strong and very successful. I'm sure a lot of people watching, especially women as well. You're an inspiration to so many people around the world, and I'm so blessed to know you. So today we're going to talk about business well-being. So this obviously the new year's around the corner, and people want to say they want to start new and improve their business well-being in their business, professional, personal, and every parts of your life you want to improve, and you're the lady to kind of share that as well. So where would you start, Ghazala, on that?
It's a very good point. And you know something, we've all gone through quite a lot in the last 2 years, haven't we? And changes have been like the whirlwind, the tornadoes, the hurricanes have come around everybody's life. And it's left people with a lot of changes, uncertainty and confusion and kind of crossroad situations because of the changes. We've lost loved ones, partnerships have split up, people have lost their businesses. Some people have, on the other hand, survived, grown and developed so much because of the way we've changed what we do. So I think the key things, that we need to look at here is whilst we're all busy trying to make it happen in life, people have actually lost their general well-being. So as much as we want to be prosperous in business, what I found is people have lost their general health and well-being. That, of course, is trying to make it happen, trying to work with this, not sleeping, burning the candle at both ends, and literally it's been putting people physically, mentally drained, burnt out. And I mean, all right, I teach Bollywood Burnout, but when people are burnt out, that's a different ballgame. And one of the things I'm looking to work with and trying to get people back on track on a starting point is we don't need to worry so much about a New Year's resolution that everybody always says, because many a time we fall off the track. But as soon as we identify we have and we're a little bit lost, we need to pick ourselves, and a New Year's resolution doesn't need to be in January or the start of. It can be any time that we pick ourselves up and say, hey, am I going on the right track here? Is this track what I'm going on getting me to where I need to? Or somewhere have I moved vehicles or changed the carriageway on the train track that I'm now no longer where I was supposed to? And I think the key thing people need to ask, Aladin, for anybody right now is who I'm going with where I wanted to go? Is where I'm going the place I've hoped for? Is overall the picture of my journey what I had planned? And if it's changed, do I like the change or do I need to change?
Oh, so it's very, I reflect on, I think what's happened in the past as well very quickly. I don't like staying in the past, personally I don't, but it's very important to learn from the past, but also what you mentioned, asking those questions and saying, okay, you know, what changes can I make moving forward in life? So you work with so many people regarding the business side and personal other parts of other people's lives as well. And I know some of the stuff I've heard you on the lunch networking that you run every week. It's very interesting, and you can really give good tips on how to improve your business, you know, well-being of your business. So if somebody is really new at this, and say, for example, if they were going to start a new business, they've never been in business, what is the first thing to do? What would you recommend first step to take? You know,
I think that's important. Those early, simple steps that can get our foundation strong is important, because, you know, we've gone through our life ourselves. We've made mistakes where we've had an idea, we ran around like a headless chicken and suddenly found a lot of lost time, lost money, and lost, like, which way are we supposed to go with this? And I think for anybody at that point really needs to be reaching out to a professional mentor, a business mentor. I am so glad I had those, because I had made mistakes when I didn't, and because I thought I was doing all right, and I realized I lost a lot of time doing this, thinking that's the way I need to do it, but I didn't have a plan in place. I think secondly, we need to look at, if we're in business, first, well, there's quite a few things. I think they always say start from within. Though we need to look at how mentally are we ready to take on a business venture? How much do we want it? So I think if we all could look at choosing from 100%, how much do we want this business? And if it's 50%, they shouldn't be doing it, because there's a lot adrift. It needs to be in order. So if somebody says, you know what, I've been dreaming this, I've been wanting this, I just want to go for it, the timing is right, and they're feeling like 100% or thereabouts, then it's a good point that mentally they're ready. That's the first point of call. Are they mentally ready? Secondly, have they got in place all the structure needed to run the business, from the business name, from the business marketing, and that's what I did, Aladin, is that when one of my nicknames, by the way, is Speedy Ghazala, right? And a lot of people say, why is your name called Speedy Ghazala? Although that's quite a good name. Well, that's because it took me a long haul in getting to the success, and it is tedious and tiring in many ways from losing the heart. And I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to help people fast track their business. And therefore, when they start to see results, now they get excited. It's not a long haul, a tedious slog of hard work of, am I getting there or not? So that's one of the things that I do, which I specialize in and I'm proud of, is helping people to fast track their way success. And by what I mean by doing that is I look at the beginning and the end at one point of the first point of call. Where are you? Where do you want to be? What's missing? I put a full business plan, and my background was in finance. I used to do business forecasts and business plans. So when I sit with people, it's not just coaching. I do coaching in 3 areas. One is, of course, personal development. That is all about, are we with it? Are we geared up with it? Is everything intact? Or do we have the knowledge for what we're dealing with? Secondly, I do the fitness coaching, which means physically is our well-being good, shaped up? Like, are we in good, mental, physical, exercise and eating good and everything? So our body shape is in order as well. And thirdly is business coaching, which is let's look at who your business is going to be going out to, if it's local, if it's online, if it's offline. And that's why I put the $1 Million Professionals free lunch and learn club, because I wanted to give back to people who are just starting out, because they don't normally have the money to get going for the bigger investments. And this was giving them great basic input to the areas they need. And that's a part of my hearty sort of feeling of giving back, because I had people that gave to me and I appreciated it to give me a head start when money couldn't buy the bigger packages.
Yeah. And I would recommend to everyone's watching it to join the Lunch and Learn Club. I'm just getting a bit confused there, but yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying. I think that is your physical well-being is so important if you're running a business, and people might think that's separate. I don't think, and as you mentioned, you need to be physically well, mentally in that really good state to run a business, because running a business is very challenging, especially at this time of the year. A lot of people have actually lost their jobs and actually maybe looking into setting up a business. And as you mentioned, they have to be mentally ready to kind of run a business. It's something that can, you won't be making profit overnight, but as you mentioned, you need support from experienced person like yourself to kind of guide them in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, what other tips can you give somebody for kind of generally, if they, as I mentioned, a few things you mentioned there, but anything else that will help people to develop this?
Yeah, I think one of the key things people need to be aware of is there is also so much free information. If they need to be looking at how to this and how to that, that will help them really to get on, for example, YouTube or Google, or search some information and get some free resource there, because there is so many. What I say, sometimes we talk about, and these people talk about it in their term as well, the tech geeks, right? And sometimes we don't know about tech stuff, and our business needs the technology to do the business, but we don't know how to do something like Canva, or we don't know, how to create a lovely graphic, or how to do email marketing. The most important advice I'd give anybody for some free resources is to go onto the, these YouTube channels or information like the online resources, because they're free, because there is some tech geek who loves to talk about it. We don't, but we just want to know how to do it. And they've got all the time in the world of episode 1 and episode 2 and part 1 and part 2. So that, I think, is another part they need to. But I think most importantly, people need to look at their first year business plan. What costs are needing to be invested in their venture? What costs are they going to incur as ongoing to manage their business? The regular ongoing costs in the software, in the business, in the important tools. That's what I normally go through when I do the initial talk with them. How much money have they put aside for the business? How much money is regularly needing to be injected in the business for growth? And where is their growth? And be clear to how the marketing is. Because the important thing I just want to share on this bit with you is this. We can have the very best passionate thing. We've woken up with this wonderful dream, like, yes, I like this idea. I'm going to do this business. Oh my goodness, why did I not think about this before? And I just want to do this. And then no matter how good it is, no matter how passionate somebody is, if they are not marketing the business in the marketing way to create the success, they're going to be disheartened in the dream not becoming a reality, because that's the bit that they need, the expertise in the help to get them going. And that's why my caption has always been is committed to your success, because I've worked hard, invested strong to put the people on the right path and be accountable with them on the journey by holding their hands until they feel good to let go and do their own.
So another thing I want to kind of mention, well, my thoughts on this is, I know you mentioned a business plan, which is very, very important. So have your plan on a piece of paper, and because you could tweak it, and but what about sometimes I feel personally that when I was doing a business plan and I was really passionate, I for developing my business, I found that also spiritual side came into play. You might say energy. Sometimes people say take inspired action rather than action. What's your thoughts on that?
That's really good. I'm glad you brought the spirituality side, because something in us talks to us about something as well. And I followed my intuition, my spiritual vibes with it. My resources have been, even people, my children even laugh at the fact that I can take some crystals out, or take some cards, oracle deck card out, or get some message. But those have been really strong sort of bits that have fueled my brain in that space to go forward with it. And the part of going forward of how that applies to us is that those are our own pointers in ourselves, listening from within.
Yeah.
That listening from within is so crucial to going forward with it, because what I've normally said to people is, when you're asking yourself a question, am I doing this right or am I doing this wrong, and you're making a decision, if you think about that question, if you're actually going to be having goosebumps and excitement and butterfly feelings, that's usually a good sign of something feels good. If you've got a frown on your face and your stomach churning with acidity and that feeling of I'm not sure, then maybe there's sometimes a thing that is saying maybe this is not right for you. So that being in tune with that spiritual space has also been a massive contributor to my going forward. And I've looked at what's calling me, what am I drawn to, what is really helping me along that way, whether it's personal development, whether it's motivational reading, whether it's a book, whether it's somebody that lifts my spirit, somebody that's energy that I feel like in the mornings, I get up and I have a 10-minute video watching or meditation to relax at night. These are some of the most important parts of our own personal journey to seeing what's working, what we're on track with, and what's going forward with for it. So I'm all for that, what you just said about the spiritual side of things, and that's going to be important for our well-being mentally, and that clarity along the way of doing the right thing for us.
No, that sounds really good, because I think for my own sake, I feel that meditation and things like do really help me, gets my kind of starting my day in the right foot, you might say, gets me the energy, gets me the focus and the clarity. And the days I don't do the meditation, I do feel that things don't really work out the way I want to. The spirituality is, I've also noticed that a lot of wealthy people out there actually that's the thing they focus on in the morning. They get themselves in that really good alignment state before they do anything else, of their business, and the business really works out. And as you said, both really need to work together. From my own experience, I'm talking about as well, I've seen the days that I've never really meditated in a long time ago, and trying to get things done, and it's like I was trying to hit a wall every time. I couldn't get through that wall, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how many hours I worked, it didn't work. And sometimes in life, I say, is sometimes we could be on a path and we've got a great idea, and we may do it for a few years, and we don't get anywhere, but it kind of leads us to something else, another path. Do you find that sometimes?
It does actually. What you've just said is so important, and I think the key thing you've just said, which I just want to touch on, is when we look at some of these people that have been successful and look at their patterns, they have disciplined structures of the meditations, the time out for them. And one of the things I've said to people is, when you're starting out, get your diary and definitely allocate time personally, time on business. And that is part of well-being in business, because we're now managing we hear people talk about work-life balance, but nobody's really balancing work or life. It's a term we use, we hashtag so many times, but when it comes to looking our diary and say, look at last week, how balanced was that? How much time did you give yourself? Well, very little. How much time did you give to your business? A lot. So where's the balance? And sleep is a big balance, because night is there for a reason, unless you're on night shifts. But a nighttime is there when the system and the melatonin part of the body's well-being are shut down, let the body repair. And if we're not getting that deep delta stage of sleep where the body's rejuvenating and the human growth hormone is actually doing its best to really release that hormone to help the body do its good in repair and recovery, and we're depriving our body, doing midnight screen watching, on internet, that is one of the most damaging parts of it. And we know the sleep is precious. So sleep is important. Diary check-in is important. Finding resource. The question you were sort of referring to is, I found myself, even though I used to read my star signs, what message was I reading? Then I went into crystals. Then I went into tarot cards. Then I went into the day of the week, whatever. And then before I know it, I'm into Reiki healing. Then before I know it, I'm into quantum healing. And then this other hypnosis. And it does take you pathway to pathway. But if that's a journey that you're in the flow that is working with you, and some things fade in, some things get clearer and stronger, and the pull is stronger, I think we need to be more in tune with our body, what it wants, because we're all different people at different levels. And what may fit with one at one time is not necessarily a fitting in for somebody, because we're at a different point in life.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's definitely what you were saying. I totally agree with what you said. Looking back in my personal life, I never would have thought I would be here speaking to you on an Aladin show. If I said, if you're doing a show, it was no way, because at that point in my life, I was very shy and didn't want to be around people, and it's crazy, anything is possible. And meeting somebody like you, amazing lady like you, who's not in Wales. I've never been to Wales, but this is the thing about what's happened during COVID is we're meeting amazing people, we're connecting with people regarding personal, also business, and things happen, miracles happen, and especially at challenging times that we may be looking at the negative side. A lot of things are happening, but there's so much positivity that's come out of it. In this time. So you as you mentioned, taking time out, self-care is so important, having a balanced business life. And when we do that, we find that everything does flow very easily. This is what I meant about inspired action. When we're in a relaxed state and you have this idea or to do things or phone somebody or write something down, things seem to work out very, very easily. And that's something I think I mentioned to you. We shouldn't be working hard. No. That working hard to me is no longer in that book. People say you need to really, really work hard and put your head down. No. We're not that. We're a spiritual being. We're made to make things happen, easily. And I think we've been kind of conditioned to believe it has to be really, really hard. I think when you put into that self-care and meditating and taking time out, we seem to be in that flow. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I think that balance of working the flow bit is so important, because we shouldn't have to work hard. Working smart is better than working hard. And we hear the terms, but people are not living by it. And that's what we need to say, is how true am I to the words I use? The vocabulary that we put in our everyday is so important by the actions we take. And like you said, inspired action is what thoughts are we inspired by, what words are going into our brain box, and what is our output from that, and getting it balanced. And for me, Aladin, I'll have to say that in 30 years of teaching business growth, working with business growth, and having a consultancy practice in there, it's the first time in my life, only beginning of this month, that I have sat and I thought, there's a moment that's happened in my life that I was craving for, working so hard all my life and killing myself in the process with it. But I arrived at a point that people always are desperate to get to, and that point is called peace of mind. And that peace of mind, I sat and observed and reflected. I was in a point when I was doing my diary check, I realized the peace of mind was that I could do my business in work-life balance, which means instead of what I used to do 3 appointments, 4 days, I can do 4 appointments in 3 days, giving myself 1 more day free. I'm now in a position, my diary sits at 3.5 days working and 3.5 days off. For me, that is what I call arriving at peace of mind, mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, and my diary check is managed in that work-life balance. We all need to look at what can we do in our work-life balance that we can make sure that even if we are working the hours more, but are we allowing the rest of that calm, of the rested self, in that feeling of we deserve time out as well. We can then enjoy the busy bit because we also know that we're enjoying their time out as well. And that's what I think is the big change that we need, is to be mindful of each other, to mindful that others are not quite on the same journey or the same path or the same want and desire, and be kind. And the 3 things I keep saying to people is ask yourself, when you comment on a post or speak to somebody, talk to anybody or preach in any way, are you saying, number 1, what you're saying, is it true? Number 2, is it kind? And 3, is it necessary? Mm-hmm. And if we can be mindful for others around it, people will get along a lot fine, a lot better than they have done, a lot more spiritually connected. Like you say, this vessel we live in, are we even giving the respect the vessel needs that's carrying us every day? That vessel needs it. Its brain is the engine. The body's working our way through it. Let it flow beautifully and let the engine tick nicely, but let that natural get back into the homing into the natural flow of ourselves, because we are energy, we are a movement, we are spiritually connected. And no, we were not put on this earth to work like crazy to pay the bills. We were also put on this earth to enjoy life and breathe and rest.
So I hope everyone's watching, and if you're working hard, maybe take a bit of tips from Ghazala and just relax.
Yeah, balance it.
And being kind, and but most of in my shows I've been saying also standing in your power and not being afraid to speak in a kind way, but also not holding back, but just to be yourself and be happy with who you are. And especially at this time, what's happening in the world, I think we need really strong people and kind people and caring people and very supportive people around us as well. So Ghazala, before you go, can you share where if people want to contact you and find out more about you or what you're doing, where can they go?
Okay, of course, thank you. So the first point of call is Ghazala Jabeen, which is spelled Ghazala, and Jabeen is Jabeen. Ghazala Jabeen is my personal website, so they want to know a little bit more about me. My business page, which I'm the founder of No1 Marketing Machine.com, and I'm on all social medias, both of those channels. And the free program for Lunch and Learn Club, it's called the $1 Million Professionals Lunch and Learn Club. And there's a Facebook page and a LinkedIn, and people can connect with me on any of those platforms, and I will navigate them through the other areas of my work, and they can have a free strategy session and say, hey, this is where we are, Gaz, we want some direction, are we on track, and where do we need the help? So I offer a free 30-minute strategy session on my calendar, so they can book in that with me anytime, and I'll be happy to support our fellow business people, our everyday friends we're connected with, so that we can create that better life balance, business balance, and enjoy being around and alive and making every day count.
Thank you, Ghazala. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for being here, and thank you for coming back. But I would love to get you back next year. And maybe, because so many things that we could talk about, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear more about other topics as well that you teach, advise people as well. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
And hope to see you again on my show next year. So thank you everybody for watching the Aladin show. I really appreciate everybody there who is tuning in every week and watching the shows. And at the moment, shows are actually going to be on YouTube as well. And there's other previous shows were in this on this platform as well. If you want to watch this as well, I have amazing guests are going to come on for next year, and also. I'm also, myself and many others are sharing information that will help your health and well-being, being positive, standing on your own power. It's all about, this show is about a feel-good show. It's about upliftment and positivity, because at this time, the last 2 or 3 years, things have been happening. We really need to stay in a really uplifted mood, and it's very important to surround ourselves with the right people as well. So thank you again, and remember to share the show with your family and friends and people you know, and I'm sure they'll benefit from it as well. So anyway, I'll see you next time, and keep watching my shows. Take care. Bye.